Hi, we are so excited about bringing you Opticon virtually. We concluded an amazing Opticon event in San Diego, and the content is so outstanding that we thought we want to share it with all of you. From the very first moment, we talked about what it means right now in this moment of time to be able to actually change the course of your companies and have an impact, because new technologies like AI allow you to rethink what's possible and reinvent how marketing and product teams work together to create incredible digital experiences. And so we want to take the content that we created over the last couple of days in San Diego at Opticon to share it with all of you. Amazing keynotes, amazing speakers, amazing breakout sessions. First, there's going to be content around one of our key new announcements around Optimizely One, the first ever marketing operating system. And it connects the entire marketing content lifecycle and brings together the workflows that actually brings the entire organization onto the same page. And all of those workflows get accelerated through AI. And then we have fantastic speakers, such as Alex London from Zoom, talking about how she uses Optimizely One. We announced our first ever AI partnership together with Ryder, and we have Kevin, who's going to talk about that partnership. And then, I had a very special moment at this Opticon to talk with Dan Siroker, the co-founder of Optimizely, about how he is using now Optimizely to actually drive innovation within its latest startup, Rewind. So there's a ton of great content. But one of the talks that you should absolutely not miss is actually the conversation with Angela Ahrens. Angela, did an amazing digital transformation of Burberry, then took on Apple Retail, and her work is legendary. And she talks about how you lead in companies and how you lead a technical and digital transformation. So there's incredible content that you don't want to miss at Opticon as we bring it to you virtually. But that's not all. There's much more to go. So, Rupali, what else do we have?
We have so much going on, Alex. We had to choose all the things to announce. The team has been hard at work bringing customer-focused innovation to life. We have some cool announcements that we will make. I won't give away all of them, but I'll talk a little bit about two themes. We talk about simplicity and we talk about flexibility. Flexibility for the developer so you can compose a stack that meets the needs for your business. And simplicity, super important to have seamless, purpose-built workflows. So the marketer, the practitioner, the product manager, you can achieve what you are trying to do in a super seamless way. So important to have both of these things without any compromises. One of the cool announcements on composability that we'll make is about the addition of a new SaaS CMS. So wait to hear all the details about it. And on simplicity is experimentation workflow, where you go end to end with a program from ideation all the way to sharing results. So much more, super excited. And I wouldn't be a product leader in 2023 if we didn't talk about AI. And so I'm not going to give away the key secret, but a lot of amazing things with AI across our portfolio, across commerce, across experimentation, across content, orchestrate, just so much to come, including the partnership with Ryder, as you mentioned, and the ecosystem approach. So very excited.
Shafqat?
So I get the privilege of talking about how we run marketing here at Optimizely, and my talk is really about Optimizely on Optimizely. So we initially will talk about some of the leadership principles that we have, how we organize our team, our values, our mission, our vision. But then we get into some really interesting stuff. All of those innovations that Rupali mentioned, I have the privilege of showing all of you how we use all of our products across the entire life cycle of Optimizely One every single day within our marketing organization. From the launch of a new brand portal on our SaaS core to our content marketing platform, how we organize the entire Opticon, but also the entire virtual Opticon online, how we plan, how we execute, how we create all of that content in our CMP. I obviously get to talk about personalization. I get to talk about a culture of experimentation and how we use experimentation collaboration to really drive change and transformation within our marketing organization. And like you said, Rupali, we can't end without talking a little bit about AI. So I get to share how AI is being used today within our marketing team. So it's really exciting, chock full of announcements, amazing speakers, amazing breakouts. We're super thrilled to be able to bring Opticon from San Diego directly into your homes for Opticon Online.
Don't miss the virtual Opticon. Enjoy all the great content. There's a lot to absorb. There's a lot of great information to share. We are so happy that you're tuning in. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Opticon 2023. It's time to get our day started with Optimizely CEO, Alex Atzberger.
Welcome to Opticon. Welcome to San Diego. Welcome to Opticon. Thank you all for being here. It's so great to see everybody here. I would be curious, who was here last year at Opticon? Just a show of hands. Wow, that's a good number. Welcome back. And welcome to everybody here who is here for the first time. Now, San Diego has obviously been home to Opticon for the last 2 years, but San Diego is also known for another con, and that's Comic-Con. So I'm curious, who has been to Comic-Con here? Not that many hands. Now, I love Comic-Con. I actually went to my first Comic-Con in 1992. Now, 1992. I had no mobile device, I had no website, but I had one thing. I had a little bit more hair. It won't get much better than this, I just tell you, in the jokes, okay? But you know what I loved about Comic-Con were the superheroes and their superpowers. They could run really fast, jump really high. With great powers comes great responsibility. And it was all about making an impact, changing an outcome. But I also loved the content creators, the people who come up with the stories. You know, they created the content that's been now turned into multi-billion-dollar movie chains and empires. And that's what we're going to do today at Opticon. We're going to talk about that intersection of amazing content and giving you superpowers. Because we want you to go to your companies and be the superheroes for your business, to drive those incredible outcomes by orchestrating better content, by experimenting to drive conversions, and monetizing experiences through commerce. And let's talk about outcomes and impact. Our customers at Optimizely drive a tremendous return of investment through our platform. You know, we conducted a study on average, customers see a 370% increase in ROI through the investment in Optimizely. Every dollar turns in $3.70. And that's the beauty of Optimizely. It does two things. On the one hand, it helps you drive revenue growth, better content, better conversions on your site. At the same time, it allows you to decrease costs by actually consolidating this very, very fragmented MarTech stack, and at the same time driving more efficiency. So many companies have decided to do just that, consolidate on Optimizely. Over the last year, we saw 25% growth in customers who use more than one of our solutions. And we also welcomed 200 new companies to the Optimizely family. So why is that? Because we have a saying at Optimizely, a belief that we are large enough to serve, but small enough to care. We care for being the best at what we do. And in our innovation side, we want to always be best in class in the categories that we compete in. So we are proud that over the last year, we have received leadership recognitions by analyst firms across content management, content marketing, commerce, and experimentation. 8 leadership recognitions, and soon to be 9 over the last 24 months. Wow. Now, why is that? It's because of you, our customers. We are so incredibly honored to be working with the most amazing companies in the world. And those are here in the room today. You inspire us to create better solutions. And I want to say thank you on behalf of all Optimizely employees for your trust. Let's give you a round of applause. Thank you. But I also want to thank all of our partners, because when it comes to realizing value from our platform, we need our partners. They help us to realize the value of our platform. And very importantly, I also want to thank all the sponsors of Opticon that allow us to put this amazing event together. So please give them a round of applause. Now, I have to admit, I've been doing keynotes for a while, but this one feels very, very special. I'm particularly excited about today, because as a tech executive, there are always moments in time where things fundamentally change. And we are just at this moment right now. Our core belief is that content is at the heart of a digital experience. Everything around us is content. Content makes or breaks the digital experience. Think about an event like this, the keynote, the signage, it's content. Think about your website, think about an ad. Everything is driven by content. And ultimately, content at this very moment is changing at its core. And it's fundamentally changing through the advent of AI. AI is probably the biggest moment in our industry since probably Gutenberg invented the printing press. Now, the printing press was invented in 1450. That year, Gutenberg printed 180 Bibles. That's amazing. And then over the next years, the printing press spread across Europe. But it took 150 years. It was actually in 1605 in Strasbourg, where the first newspaper was printed. So what Gutenberg did was he gave people a superpower, the printed word. Think about how amazing that is. But it only took a very, very, very long time to spread around. Now think about ChatGPT. ChatGPT, in 2 weeks, gained 100 million users. Who here thinks it will take 150 years for the first newspaper to be generated by AI? Anybody believe that? I don't think so. And I tell you why. Because people are changing today. I walked by my marketing team in our office, and there was one content marketer, and I asked her, are you using AI? And she turned to me, and she said, every day. This is the real story about AI. It's not just about the technology and the large language models. It's about how we are reinventing how we work at this very moment. And we can reimagine how content is created and optimized. And by the way, it's not just us saying this. If you look at McKinsey, who did a big, big study on Gen AI, they actually talked about how much of the work will be automated that we do. And they predict that 60 to 70% of somebody's work is actually going to change over the next couple of years. Just think about your personal work changing by 60 or 70%, and then think that this will happen to everyone. But of course, when it comes to technology, there's always hype. Now, in my point of view, there's a saying that always applies in technology, which we overestimate the impact of technology in the short run, but we actually underestimate it over the long run. As an example, picture yourself 20 years ago, 2003. Could you have imagined that you would be sitting on a plane streaming an entire movie on a mobile device? Or that you can go to a website and buy a car? I don't think so. We can't really predict the future for 10, 20 years from now. But we can dream a little bit. We can say, what if we had sufficient content to truly personalize every interaction? We can think about what it would be like if we can have a launch campaign that was automatically generated for products we don't even have yet. Or what if we had unlimited test ideas that were continuously generated and running? All of this will happen. But the real question is, will you be on the sideline or will you lead? This is the ultimate leadership moment. How many times in our lives do we have this opportunity to be at such an inflection point? And the question is, are you prepared to seize this moment? This is what Opticon this year is all about. This is why it's so special that we're here together. Because the opportunity is now to reinvent how we work and how we create and optimize content. We are working with 10,000 brands together all the time on their digital experience. And our vision remains constant, that we want to reinvent how marketing and product teams work together to create digital experiences that drive business growth. And it's time for marketing to be that custodian of the digital experience and advocate for growth in a company. But let's talk about how marketers work today. And I'm going to give you some real talk, okay? The world is pretty complex when you're in a marketing organization. Processes are complex. There are silos. There's brand, there's digital, there's PR, oftentimes not being connected with each other. And it's intransparent for people what actually happens in the marketing organization. And work about work is still a problem. Oftentimes I feel in marketing, work doesn't flow. It actually gets stuck through these complex processes. Think about intake of new ideas. Think about approvals inside a company. How many places are there to approve something or to get an idea in? But it gets worse than that, much worse. Let me talk about the hippos. Now, the hippos are those highest paid persons' opinions in the room. Have you ever seen a hippo? A hippo has really a huge mouth, but tiny ears, because they love to talk, but they don't listen very well. You know, they come into your meetings, and they say they're going to make the call, because they can. And you know where hippos love to live? They love to live in marketing. Why? Because in marketing, there's no data, so they can just make decisions based on their gut. Do you agree? Anybody ever met a hippo? Anybody? Yes? Okay, okay. You know, but those are the same hippos that want to hire the best people in the market, the most creative people. And they bring them into your companies. Then what do they have for you do? Work in tools that are not purpose-built, and spreadsheets and processes that don't connect. And then, once you have your idea and you do your pitch, they overrule you. It's demoralizing. So it's time to tame the hippos. Please, don't get rid of them. Don't do that. Just tame them. So hashtag tame the hippo, okay? Thank you. Now, we felt there needs to be a much, much, much better way to do all of this. So we were inspired by our customers working with you. And we reimagined how marketing should operate. And this is the marketing life cycle, where work actually flows, where everybody in marketing knows what everybody else is working on. And time is actually not wasted on trying to find stuff, but it's spent creating incredible, compelling content. And decisions are not just based on gut, but they are backed by data. Because like I said last year, if you want to have a great customer experience, you need to have a great marketer experience. And so to realize this vision, we created a composable stack comprised of the best-of-breed solutions for content, commerce, and experimentation. We then unified these solutions through a beautiful user experience. We extended the orchestration of workflows for content also to experimentation. We launched Optimizely Graph to query and distribute this content anywhere. We brought all solutions onto a single platform with a shared identity for simple administration. And then we gave power of choice to you around decoupling our CMS. And all of these innovations together have strengthened the entirety of our portfolio to something unique in the market. Content, commerce, experimentation in one. So we felt the time was right to name it. We are proud to announce to you today Optimizely One, the first ever operating system for marketing. Woo! Let's go. It's one composable stack, one platform that is secure and scalable, one platform that has science enabled in it, one platform that orchestrates the entire workflow across a marketing organization, and one platform that marries art and science. Optimizely One is the foundation of how work should get done. But there's an additional benefit. For too long in MarTech, it's always been about this trade-off between flexibility and simplicity. Optimizely One, though, is flexible because it's composable, but it's also simple because it's one. And then there's obviously AI. You need for your companies a platform and foundation that gives you the power to leverage AI in the correct way. You don't want AI to become another silo inside your business. It should actually accelerate the marketing life cycle. And so we are so excited for this moment. The time to reinvent marketing is now. But the real question for me is, are you ready to reinvent marketing for your marketing teams and product teams? That's the question. This is your leadership moment. Now, some people are seizing this moment already. And I will introduce you to some of the companies and leaders who are doing this just now through Optimizely. Are you ready to meet them? Shall we meet them? Yes, let's do it. So the first person that I loved for you to meet is somebody very, very special. And he goes way, way back with Optimizely. Now, Mark Andreessen said about his company that it's a great example of how AI augments human intelligence. Wow, that's a big statement. It's truly a superpower. Now, he also happens to be the co-founder of Optimizely. How about that? So, give a very, very special warm welcome to Dan Siroker, CEO of Rewind AI. Dan, come on out. Dan, so great to have you back at Opticon.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's amazing.
What do you think?
This is incredible. I can't believe this is what, a decade ago we had, this was a glimmer in our eye and it's turned into this.
That's fantastic. Now, Dan, I want to talk about obviously Rewind because it's so cool what you're doing there. But you have to tell this audience how you actually started Optimizely.
So it goes back to 2007. I was working as a product manager at Google and I snuck in to see a candidate for president. He at the time was a senator, a third in the polls, and he talked about how he wanted to take what we're doing at Google with evidence and science and feedback and data and bring that to the government. That really inspired me. The last thing he said when he came to Google was, "I want you to be involved," which is usually a euphemism for please donate to my campaign. But I took him literally. And 2 weeks later, I flew to Chicago, joined his campaign as a volunteer, turned into a job as a director of analytics, and it helped elect Barack Obama to be president.
Woo! Wow.
And that experience actually was really insightful because I saw the power of A/B testing, but I also saw the pain. We had used tools that were available at the time, and every one of those tools really required a lot of engineering effort, a lot of IT and professional services. So the original inspiration for the company was trying to build a product that made it easy for anybody to do A/B testing. And that's what it's become.
It's unbelievable. You should be so proud because there's so many customers here in the audience, from the largest companies to the most innovative companies in the world. So Dan, you should be super, super proud where Optimizely is at. Now, obviously, I wanted you to talk about Rewind and what you're doing with Rewind because it's another one of these really big ideas. Can you share a little bit about Rewind AI?
Yeah, so the inspiration for Rewind actually started when I was running Optimizely, and I started to go deaf. I started to lose my hearing, and I tried a hearing aid, and it was magical. To lose a sense and gain it back again felt like gaining a superpower. And ever since that moment, I have been on a hunt for ways that technology can augment human capabilities and give us superpowers. And that's what led me to Rewind. Our vision is to give humans superpowers, and we've started by building a product that's a personalized AI powered by everything you've seen, said, or heard. So I can show you a little demo if you want.
I would love to see it.
Sure,
I think it would be awesome.
So let's pull up a demo. So as I said, Rewind captures everything you've seen, said, or heard. One of the most basic things you can do with Rewind is browse back in time. That's why it's called Rewind. So here you can see on my Mac and my iPhone, we've recorded everything that I've seen, said, or heard, stored all locally. So from a privacy perspective, we don't have access to the recordings. Your employer doesn't have access to it. It's all stored locally. And then the power of that is that now you can search. So anything you've seen in the past, regardless of where you've seen it, you can search for any keyword and it pops up. Or maybe it was a tweet you saw. You can instantly go back to any moment in your past. And by the way, we forget about 90% of our experiences after just 1 week. So this is a huge, huge opportunity to give humans perfect memory. And best of all, now you can use the power of large language models to not just search for what you're looking for, but ask any question of anything you've seen, said, or heard. And this is a real answer that Rewind provided using the context of myself being a founder, the interactions I have with my teammates, and giving me a truly personalized answer.
I think this is absolutely incredible. I love how you're pushing the envelope. But obviously, it's a new product. You're trying to have people sign up. how is your past of Optimizely now intersecting with your present of Rewind, and how do you use Optimizely at Rewind?
Yeah, well, we are very happy Optimizely customers. I'm pretty good at using the product, and we've used it for many different experiments. Pricing is a big one. Today, actually, if you go to rewind.ai, if you go to our pricing page, you will see an A/B test we're running, comparing the support you get on our highest paid tier, comparing priority support to CEO's cell phone number, and we're seeing, does that actually have an impact on retention, on conversion? And it's amazing, for not just for myself, but for our team, to sort of democratize using data to help make better decisions with Optimizely.
And you're also launching a new product, a physical product for the first time. Why don't you share a little bit what that product is about, but also how you tested if the product would actually have a market?
Yeah, so the product is called the Rewind Pendant. We started with Mac, we built an iPhone app, we're busy at work on Windows, but there's so many experiences we have that aren't on our devices, experiences like this one in the real world. And so we're building a product that helps you capture everything you say and everything you hear in a very privacy-first way that then you can use to augment your memory. So the pendant is something you wear, captures the data, does speaker identification, so only you and your voice gets captured unless somebody verbally opts in and gives consent to being captured. And so, yeah, part of the way we approach this product is really as a painted door test. You know, we put out, actually, just last week, a pre-order. You can go out and pre-order the pendant for $59. Go to rewind.ai/pendant. We've got over 5,000 pre-orders, and that told us, hey, there's a market here. And that was something we really wanted to do before investing in hardware. Many of you know hardware is hard, and we wouldn't want to do that investment until we've proven the market is already there.
I hope next year at Opticon we see a lot of people wearing pendants walking around the floor here, so I'm excited for that. But then give us also your view of the future of AI and experimentation. How do you think about this?
Yeah, I have a very optimistic view, and it's rooted in the power of AI to augment our capabilities and give us superpowers. You mentioned earlier, Alex, the opportunity that Optimizely is to give people and marketers and non-technical folks this amazing lever, this ability to actually make a change and measure the impact of that change. It's not a new idea, it's the scientific method, but Optimizely is democratizing that. I think AI can do the same. I think it can be a lever to give us incredible powers where the AI does what it's good at, number crunching and large language models, and you do what you're great at, being creative, coming up with ideas. And together, I think the future of AI isn't to replace people. It is to partner with people, to augment our capabilities and give us superpowers.
That is such an awesome way to end this talk, Dan. But I want to just say thank you again. This is also your audience here. I love that you were here. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you,
Give it up for Dan Siroker, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. What you just saw is that one of the most innovative companies in the world is testing on Optimizely. But there was another thing that Dan just said that I want to just spend a second on, which is this notion about AI and how AI actually augments us and gives us those superpowers. And from a product perspective, we see the same within the Optimizely platform. We see AI as a foundational capability. We have launched the capability to generate content in the marketing workflow through AI. But we didn't want to stop there, because we recognize that companies have different needs depending on what they want to solve for. Just recently, we started working with one of the largest software companies in the world, Salesforce. Salesforce decided for Optimizely to manage actually their content marketing. And their need was different than other companies because they wanted a private LLM model to drive their AI journey. And so we decided to take an ecosystem approach to AI. And these conversations that we had with Salesforce led us to what is now probably one of the most exciting new partnerships that we have formed here at Optimizely. It's actually our first ever partnership around generative AI. And we are super, super excited to reveal this partnership to the world for the first time here at Opticon in San Diego. And the company, by the way, is one of the hottest, fastest growing companies on the planet. So we are super, super excited to welcome on stage Kevin Chung, the COO of Ryder. Come on, Kevin. Kevin, how are you? Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I'm obviously super excited about the partnership, but there are probably a lot of people here who who have not heard about Ryder, and they should. So tell us who Ryder is.
Alex, we have so much to talk about with regards to generative AI generally, and I have a lot to share. We only have 60 seconds. No, we have a little bit more, but we have a lot to talk about. And one thing that I loved that Alex talked about earlier was about hype. There's a lot of hype, there's a lot of noise around generative AI, and it's really noisy. And I think the first thing that we wanted to do is really just separate that hype and really share with you what makes this truly unique and what really makes this stand out, and that's where Ryder shines. So Ryder stands out as truly unique because we're the only full stack enterprise solution for generative AI. So we solve this really complex problem that every enterprise faces today, which is essentially the ability to, how do I deploy generative AI in my organization while avoiding this really, really high risk of building something from scratch? I don't want to have to do that. That's really difficult. Large language models alone are not enough to get the results and the time to value that enterprises expect. I think trying to deploy a partial solution with unproven use cases is way too risky for any organization. You just don't want to do that. Secondly, Ryder is already deployed and trusted by 200 enterprise organizations and industry-leading companies across retail, healthcare, financial services, technology, and more. So that in and of itself shows the breadth of the use cases that we've already proven to work in production. And third, we enable every part of the organization to be able to use generative AI across any business workflow. I've talked to thousands of CEOs, CIOs, executives, and each one of them has a common theme, which is that last mile of productivity is extremely hard to get right. And what Ryder does really well is we land those use cases for enterprises day in and day out, time over time, using AI to get there. And the last thing is, in order to even get in the door to talk about use cases, you have to have that compliance, that enterprise-grade compliance. So Ryder exceeds those compliances with things like HIPAA and FedRAMP. So even the most highly regulated industries, we meet that bar. So you can trust that we have a solution that will meet even all business use cases. And that's what we can do. And really what's really powerful about this is we're able to launch production-ready use cases to companies in days to see immediate ROI. So we're not talking about months or years to look for value. You're seeing those values today, and nobody in the market can offer that.
And Kevin, one of the things, obviously also for the audience, you hear words like generative AI, but the approach of how generative AI actually works is different. And I mentioned Salesforce not wanting to go for this public model. Can you explain how Ryder approaches Gen AI specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. So we take a very, very unique approach to this. When I mentioned earlier full stack, we have a complete solution. So we're not giving you an LLM and saying, CIO, go figure this out. That's a very difficult proposition. So the full stack really starts with three major components. The first one being our secure and proprietary LLM. So we built this entirely from the ground up. And that has actually earned us the top marks from Stanford Helm, and they evaluated 40 LLMs out there, and we were rated #1 by them. So that was great. The next is actually our knowledge graph source. So in order for you to get an accurate output, you need to actually have the company's data in mind. So how do you get that? We can retrieve accurate and real-time information from a company's data source. This can be anything from docs, audio, video, SQL databases, unstructured data, or your company's source of truth through third-party applications like a Salesforce. By putting those all together, you can actually get accurate outputs, not relying only on the LLM by itself. And finally, the third piece is the AI guardrails. So this is actually the company's years of experience, not only in generative AI, but machine learning and natural language processing. And that allows us to do really innovative things like check for compliant and inclusive language, maintain brand consistency, and ensure appropriate brand and style guidelines are maintained. And we can do that across the entire organization, across any surface area, and across any application. And that's what's really powerful here.
So you can bring your content, any type of content, into Ryder. It understands your brand language, all of the things. And one of the questions, obviously, that a lot of our customers have is kind of like the use cases. Where are the use cases for AI? Given your experience, where do you see the primary use cases today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have some of the most iconic brands using Ryder today. So Accenture, L'Oreal, and Vanguard. And across these 200 enterprise brands, they're leading the charge on innovative use cases. So one example is a largest healthcare institution using Ryder to summarize and produce newsletters every day on the latest health news. And it's in their style and tone of voice. We have another Fortune 100 company that averted a PR crisis by being able to immediately send out emails to their clients with up-to-date factual information and next steps. We have another large organization that's able to do executive candidate reviews by combing through thousands of pages of resumes, interview notes, presentations to create one-page summaries on these executives, and therefore they can review these and look at these in real time. And then we have a large technology company that's actually implementing Writer to analyze millions of documents in order to create an AI chatbot to do document review. So now that's saving hundreds of hours per employee from doing manual review and basically creating that really, really powerful experience.
I love that, Kevin. And obviously, when we spoke, we found out that we have a lot of those enterprise customers in common. And one of the things, obviously, that Salesforce asked us to do is also to think about the marketing workflow and where content is actually generated in Salesforce's organization. So can you talk a little bit about your perspective of how Optimizely and Writer come together?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing that I see, I mean, with companies like Salesforce and other large enterprises, they are already working in Optimizely today. So we want to augment those workflows and help them accelerate that. I mean, I'm all about actually working with where you're used to comfortably working, not necessarily creating new workflows. Already generative AI is very hypey, and so there's a lot of stuff where you actually figured this out, but how can you actually work in existing workflows? And that's what we're trying to do. And so I think our partnership is really powerful because we're going to bring this very delightful experience of Writer into Optimizely to make that experience for Salesforce and others super powerful. So it's that 1 + 1 = 1,000 mentality. We're gonna nail that, and we're gonna meet that, and it's gonna be a game changer for all these enterprises. And I think this is a once in a generation opportunity. I mean, we're at Opticon here today. It's 2023. We're gonna look 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. We're gonna say like, hey, how did this really come about? And literally what we're going to see is this is going to be transformative in all organizations, every department. So imagine coming to work and you can focus on your highest impact work, and you have generative AI as your sidekick that's amplifying all the work 1,000 times. And that's actually what's happening today. And we are not far from that. That future is right now.
That is fantastic. I love this notion about this once-in-a-generation opportunity. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us and for a great partnership. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm here to reintroduce myself as Optimizely's new CMO. You might have seen the title of my talk outside. It says Confessions of a CMO. Well, the biggest confession I have is that I'm not your traditional CMO. In fact, this is my first marketing job ever. I'm not joking. I joined Optimizely through the acquisition of Welcome, which you may know now as the Optimizely content marketing platform. And it was a privilege when about a year ago, Alex, our CEO, asked me to take on this CMO role to lead what he called the radical transformation that we needed. Now, listen, I was building products for marketers for the better part of a decade, but it's really humbling now being on the other side as CMO, and I truly have the empathy of being in the trenches with all of you guys. All right, so let's start with a quick recap of yesterday. We covered a lot of ground. Alex talked about this being a leadership moment. There was a lot of leadership discussion in Angela's keynote as well. It's a pivotal time for all of us in our careers as marketers and product leaders. Number two, our fearless Chief Product Officer, I think Rupali's here. She covered kind of the key tenets of what it takes to build a modern marketing organization, and we really focused in on flexibility and simplicity. And then we introduced Optimizely One, which is the world's first operating system for marketing. Now, this is something that I'm really passionate about, because those of you who know me, I've been talking about this for almost a decade at Welcome. But now, here at Optimizely, we can really do this. We can really execute on this mission because we have category-leading products that really come together to form this marketing OS. So today, I'm going to talk about some of my key principles of leadership, how we think about flexibility and simplicity in our marketing org, and how we use Optimizely One. So think of this session as Optimizely on Optimizely. My challenge to you guys, it's just one question. Just reimagine how you can run marketing yourselves. Take some time. Hopefully, you take away some of these ideas on how to transform, whether it's people, leadership, or the tools. All right, so let's start with how we run marketing, how we organize, and some of the key leadership principles. So I start every single meeting, I think a lot of people know this, talking about our mission, our vision, our beliefs. And at Optimizely, we have 3 core beliefs. Number one is the content is at the core of every digital experience. We think every marketer should be able to leverage both science and creativity. It's the theme of the event. And the third thing is, we believe the digital experience is your most important product, and it's a product that needs to be continuously iterated and optimized. Similarly, after we cover mission and vision, I often will talk about our marketing team values. Now, these are not company values, these are our marketing team values. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we strive to do fewer things better. We care about the details. That's what sweat the small stuff is. I like this last one, which is a little controversial maybe, but I always say let's not do marketing of marketing. Let's figure out how we deliver real results for the business. And if we can do that, everyone else will talk about the great job we're doing rather than us. But leadership is much more than values. So I want to share one of my favorite leadership books. When I was at Welcome, when I was the CEO there, I asked every one of my execs to read it. I encourage all of you to read it too. Now listen, you may be looking at this, but I assure you, it's not a war story, it's actually a leadership framework. It's something that can be applied to almost any org, including yours. It was written by this really smart man, I've met him, General Stanley McChrystal. He's now retired, but he was running JSOC. He was running a big part of the US military for a long time, and he really turned it into a very modern and agile organization. So they had a very traditional org structure, but they were struggling because times had changed. And their org structure, it may remind you of your team or your marketing team. They had a lot of hierarchy, a lot of silos, which led to a lot of broken process, and information flow just took way too long. Now imagine you're in the military. You want to make a decision. Information has to flow to your boss, their boss, all the way up to DC and come back down the chain of command. And by that time, things had moved on. It was too late. The world has moved on. So he realized they had to move to a new approach, what he calls an integrated team of teams approach, to really break down those silos. And this network model, it made teams collectively more adaptable, self-organizing, collaborative. They had shared trust. I love this quote that we're about to pull up, because he doesn't just talk about work. He talks about things like trust and purpose. And I believe that's what we all deserve in our careers, in our work, so that we can enjoy what we do every single day. So there's 3 attributes of a team of teams style organization that he talks about. Number 1 is shared consciousness. That means a crazy amount of visibility and transparency. It's unheard of for the military. I'll give you an example. How many of you guys do stand-ups here, daily stand-ups? About, I think, half of you. He introduced this concept of a daily stand-up, except he had 8,000 people on the call every single day for 2 hours globally. I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, it's crazy because the military is often thought of as like top secret, confidential, just share only the information you need. But he said, if I want to empower my team, I need to give them all of the information all the time. And that leads to the second part, empowered decision-making, pushing all the decisions to the edges of the organization. He let the people in the field. So think about your organization. Your field marketers, the people who are talking to customers, people who are talking to sales, they know the real truth. Angela talked about it yesterday. We can sit there as an exec team and make decisions, or we can let the people who know the truth make the decisions. And if we do these 2 things, you get unprecedented agility and speed. And that's what we need as marketers and product leaders in the world that we live in today. So we spent a lot of time thinking about how do we take these principles and apply it to modern marketing technology. Some of these may be obvious. We need tech that gives us visibility into plans. We need to make sure everyone has that kind of crazy visibility. We need workflows that can maximize that collaboration we spoke about and allow teams to work at speed. We need to be able to use science to drive decision-making in marketing. So all of these principles, we believe, are reflected in Optimizely 1. These are the key tenets. And the amazing thing is, when we bring all of this together, we give power back to marketers, and it unlocks their creativity. So now let's talk about what this means in our day-to-day. So every day we run marketing. You know, when I took over the team, we had some real challenges. This struggle was pretty real. We had siloed teams, channel teams not working together, top-down, somewhat hippo-led decision-making. Isn't that right, Alex? No common or shared systems. We were using generic project management tools like Asana. And so over the next 12 months, we transformed how we run marketing. So this is how we organize. We have brand. Everything starts with brand. Angela told us how important brand is. We then have big bets that are lined up to our business priorities. We then have integrated campaigns for each of these big bets. And every piece of content, every activity ladders up to these integrated campaigns. If we bring it all together, this is what it looks like. I'm going to just step through these really quickly. So everything starts with brand. We're super proud to be custodians of what I think is a legendary brand, Optimizely. And before that, Episerver. You know, we've grown like crazy through some of these amazing acquisitions. I'm a little biased, but it was time to invest in telling a cohesive story, bringing it all together. And I love the brand campaign that our team created, and they're all sitting here today. Optimizely, move fast and make things. So we took this to the streets, and we also took it underground. This is New York City taxis. I love this shot. We then ran it in subways. This is another one of our colleagues. I think she was featured yesterday. This is the team that actually worked on the campaign. More subways. We took it coast to coast. We were running it on billboards in San Francisco on the one on 101. I don't know if it's always this gloomy there. Should probably get a better photo, but it was amazing that our team did all of this in-house, and we used our software to do it. So then let's talk about our big bets. These are our 4 big bets this year, plus 2 that run across the bottom as well. Each one aligns to a larger business goal, right? It's either tied to growth or retention, and they're usually aligned to a solution. As an example, this first one on the left in green, it says, get our swagger back as the leader in web experimentation. We then have integrated campaigns designed to bring all the channel teams together, and each one of these supports a common theme. Let's look at tying it back to the previous example that I mentioned. We saw a huge opportunity to get our swagger back with the announcement of Google Optimize shutting down. So that was one of our biggest integrated campaigns we ran this year, and boy, did it work. That campaign ran for the last 9-ish months. It delivered double-digit millions of pipeline, but also double-digit millions of sales this year. So as a result of all of this is we have a construct that we can use so that everything that we do is aligned to the strategy that we have. So now this all looks great. You're like, oh, this looks nice. It's a pretty picture. It's in a PowerPoint. But how do we actually make it real? How do we take this strategy and then ensure that all the campaigns and assets that we create are done correctly, are done on brand, are done consistently? So we do that all in Optimizely 1. I really believe it's our shared operating system for marketing. So let's dive in. What does it look like? We'll look at our content marketing platform to see where we create and plan all of our content with full visibility and alignment. This is the software which our team worked so hard to build, and now you can see here, these are our 6 big bets that are lined up. So we're showing this in one of our planning views. If we zoom in, look what you see here, Opticon 23. This was one of our big integrated campaigns. There's 59 tasks and activities that we worked on. Nearly 100 people worked on this across the entire world to put on this amazing event. So let's double click. These are all the different work streams, all the projects, all the tasks that go into this. If we zoom in some more, we can see the content that we created. Every piece of content was created in this software. Take a look around you, actually. Everything you see here, the branding, the screens, the signs, the video on that crazy LED wall, all of that was created, collaborated in the CMP. In fact, that's the video that ended up on the wall just out there. Finally, let's take a look. This is 1 week's worth of editorial calendar of content that comes out during Opticon. It's a lot. So how do we actually get it out in the world? How do we make sure that the right people see it at the right time in the channels they're on? So you know we all use Optimizely.com. We use CMS 12, which is our past core CMS. It's the CMS that you all know and love. Well, we recently had a new use case. Remember we talked about optionality, flexibility, choice? Well, we had a new use case. We wanted to build a brand portal. We had front-end developers. They wanted something more modern, more flexible, something that was simple to get off and running. So we decided to build this brand portal on our SaaS core, the new SaaS core, and we used front-end JavaScript framework, and we hosted it on Vercel. This is what our SaaS core looks like. It's totally decoupled from the front end. And here's our beautiful front end. Headless, modern. As I mentioned, it's hosted on Vercel. This is live today. You can check it out. And Mikhail from our digital team, I believe he talked about it or will talk about it at one of the breakouts. And we did this all on SaaS core. So now let's talk about personalization. One of the hottest topics, I think the breakout was oversubscribed. People were like outside trying to get in like it was a concert. Well, it's the most important thing for us too. And I believe there's a maturity curve to personalization. The simplest to execute is rules-based, right? You can be geographic, demographic. The next level down, it's a little bit harder, is behavioral. Often we'll serve data based on actions that people have taken on our website. We may do this using real-time segments that we pull from the Optimizely data platform. And the most complex to execute is one-to-one individualization. So obviously we're a testing company, so we test all of this. The results were slightly surprising. Actually, 1 in 2 were sufficient. You can test all of these approaches, but 1 in 2, which is simple because it doesn't require as much content, actually yielded the best results. So let's show you some examples. This is what our homepage looks like and that everyone sees by default. Now this is what it looks like if we identify you as someone who has an interest in our content solution. So you'll see the content has actually changed. So remember the brand campaign that I talked to you about? So this is geographic personalization. We didn't just do the brand campaign in out of home, but we actually extended an offline campaign to our entire digital experience. So if you lived in New York City or San Fran, we identify you, and this is what you see. What about customers versus prospects? All of that data lives in our CRM, Salesforce. We pull it through ODP into visitor groups on our CMS, and then we can personalize. So if you're a customer, we say, hey, Optimizer, welcome back. Like, our other customers like you. So we use language, we use copy, imagery, and we even show you completely different experiences if you're a customer. Finally, this is what it looks like if we identify you as a prospect or a customer in the airline industry. Again, we use data from various data sources, whether it's 6 Sense or Salesforce, to do all of this. Ultimately, I believe personalization is a trade-off. The more complex, the more content you need. But for me, when people ask me, what I say is, it's worth it almost at any level. So my recommendation, just get started. All right, so we now have content. Let's talk about how we're testing. So as part of this transformation over the last 12 months, we really wanted to embrace a culture of experimentation, but it was really hard. I know some of you may be thinking, like, you're the leader in experimentation, how can that possibly be hard? But this cultural change takes time, it takes effort, and in our case, a lot of it was isolated in one team. And so that was the case until we adopted the all-new experimentation collaboration product that, again, Rupali showed us yesterday. Today, we're running, at any given time, we're running between 20 and 50 tests or personalization campaigns. And at any given time, anyone in our team, anyone in the whole company has full transparency. They can submit ideas. They can fill out intake forms to submit hypotheses that they have. So we've really democratized the culture of experimentation across all of Optimizely, across our 1,600 employees. So this is what it looks like under the hood. everything that I just showed you is powered by this architecture. On the surface, it may seem a little bit crazy, it's a little complicated, but the beauty of Optimizely One, the thing that I'm so excited about, is it abstracts away all of this complexity. It makes it simplified and easy for our marketing teams through a single, seamless workflow. One last section before we wrap this up, because I know you're all thinking this. AI. Yesterday, Rupali announced Opal. Rupali, I feel like I wouldn't even be able to do this keynote without you. I've mentioned you like 10 times. All right, so she announced Opal yesterday, and all the AI capabilities that we've embedded across the life cycle. I'm really proud of our team because we use almost all of this today. I'll just highlight a few examples for you. We use it to generate campaign ideas, taglines, some good, some very bad. We create first drafts of almost every piece of content. We generate new headlines for A/B testing. Our SDRs use generative AI to personalize great outbound content, and we're always looking at ways to improve. So, remember I said it's all about the business outcomes? What did this transformation actually lead to? Let's talk about that. And here's the secret. Actually, Alex, I hope you don't get mad. I'm sharing some of this inside data. The secret is we actually spent 30% less money this year than last year. Yet we grew the business. Remember Alex said our top customers, our multi-product customers grew 25%. We halved our cost per MQL. And I know some of you are wondering, oh, MQLs are dead. We also halved our cost per opportunity. We run 50+ experiments at any given time. And as I showed you before, we have 200+ campaigns, thousands of marketing activities that our team fiercely cranks out every single day. Speaking of team, I think we work better together than we ever have. We spend less time doing work about work. We're driving meaningful revenue for the whole company and revenue growth, and we're having fun doing it. I think we're a little burnt out with Opticon, but we're having fun. And as a first-time CMO, I'm totally energized. And an energized team, it's the best reward that I could get. So that's all I have for you guys today. I covered a lot of ground, so I appreciate you guys all spending a little bit of time with me.
Thank you for joining us at Opticon Online. It's an amazing, amazing content that we put together for you from our event at Opticon in San Diego. You find deep dive sessions on our roadmap. You hear from practitioners of how they leverage Optimizely to change their companies. And you can become the hero for your business to reinvent how marketing and product teams work together to create exceptional digital experiences. So thank you for joining us at Opticon Online. You can find all of the great content at optimizely.com. And most importantly, enjoy it, take advantage of the great information, and let us know what you think about Opticon Online. Thank you so much for joining us.